This is not going to be too bad, okay? So you have to know, do you know y equals mx plus b?
That's just about.
Okay, so can you tell me what m represents?
I have no clue.
M is the slope.
Oh.
And b is the y-intercept.
Okay.
Okay? So you just told me the slope is negative 1/4, right?
Wait, hold on.
So this is y equals negative 1/4
Okay.
x plus b is the y-intercept, which is that number.
Okay. So is the 0 A? Is that just like A and B?
So this is x, this is y. So the y-intercept, but the y-intercept is just the y. This is called the y component.
Okay.
So it's just the y component. This is called the x component.
Okay.
This is called a coordinate pair.
Coordinate.
You don't really need to know these words, but the y-intercept is just the y part of the pair, the y component of the ordered pair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's it. You just write that out like that. And that's your answer.
Okay.
So let's make sure. So slope, let's say I give you the slope is negative 2. Y-intercept is 0, 3. What's the equation? 2 fingers so you can scroll up if you want to see what I wrote earlier.
Okay.
You have to use 2 fingers. It only works, yeah.
Okay. So Y. Oh my gosh.
Just 2 fingers. Yeah, there you go.
I can't because my nails are a little bit too long. Okay, so.
Y equals mx plus b.
And then.
Yeah, but you still have the x, so you just put an x there. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
That's it. That's all it's asking you to do.
It's so confusing. So.
What's bothering you?
The X. But I think you just.
So let's talk about what this means. I think that's part of the problem here. So if I give you y equals negative 2x plus 3, what that means is that this is where the y-intercept, so it's where it crosses, this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. So that just means you start at 3. Negative 2 is the same thing as negative 2 over 1. Right? So negative 2 divided by 1 is just negative 2. This is saying what the slope is. So the slope means that you're going to go down 2 and to the right 1. And that's your line.
That's how you plot it.
That's what it means. Yeah.
So if they say, so you know how we just did that other one?
Mm-hmm.
So if they say plot that, that's how I do that?
This one right here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, and the thing to realize is that I can keep playing this game. I can still go down 2
Yes.
over 1. There would be another point. Down 2 over 1. There's another point.
Okay.
I can play this game forever, right? So what this is really telling me, the other thing that you want to realize with this is if I give you y equals negative 2x plus 3, if I plug in x as 0, y becomes 3. Okay? If I plug in one, it becomes y becomes 1, so on and so forth. So if I plug in 2 into this, I'm going to end up, it actually drops by 2, so it's going to become negative 1. If I plug in 3, I'm going to get negative 3. If I plug 4, I'm going to get negative 5, etc., etc. So these are points, right? These are coordinates. These are like 0, 3, 1, 1, 2, negative 1, etc., etc. Right? So what that means is when I go here, 0, 3 is this point right here. 1, 1 was this point here. 2, negative 1 was this point here, etc., etc. So another way of looking at this is that if any time you have an equation, you plug in the x value, you'll get a y. and that gives you a point on the graph. And you just keep plotting points, and then if it's a line, if it's linear, then you know you just connect the points, and that's your answer. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's do another one. Let's say I give you y equals 3x plus 1.
Mm-hmm.
If I have no idea what to do, like I have to say, let's graph it. You're like, just go x and y. Give me an x value. Whatever number makes you happy.
1.
Okay. So I'm going to go... I plugged in x as 1, right?
Wait. Because you see my face, so I'm like totally lost.
So I just plugged in an x value of 1.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So if I say x is 1, I solved, I got y to be 4.
Okay. Wait, no. This is 3, right? So for
It's
this
3x
one,
plus 1. So you said x is 1.
mm-hmm.
So I replaced x with 1.
Mm-hmm.
Solved it, I got y to be 4.
No, but if I had to do this, would that be there?
What do you mean?
Like, since this is already x, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
x is separate.
X is, so you're substituting in a value. You're saying x is 1, so you plug 1 in here.
Oh.
You can put in whatever number you want. So give me another number.
5.
5. So we can say, so now x is 5. So this value here now is 5. So I just replace x with 5. Everything else is the same, right? 3x plus 1. The only thing I changed is x.
So where would 5 go? Would it go there?
Yes. And so I just solved this. So 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 is 16. So 5/16 is another point.
Okay.
So I can pick another point. So I'm going to pick 0 because I'm lazy. So I go y equals 3 times 0 plus 1.
Mm-hmm.
So y would become 1.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say x is 0, y is 1. Am I
I get it now.
making sense?
Yes.
So
I think that one clarified it a little bit.
yeah. So you're just picking values for x. There's an x in there somewhere. that's what I'm plugging in. Mm-hmm. My point is if I have these points right here. Let's see if I can remember. So if I have 0, 1, I can't remember. 1, 4, 5/16. I can go here and I can say, okay, 0, 1 is here. 1, 2, 3, 4 is here. Let's say this is 5 and this is all the way up here is 16, right? It's somewhere over here. Well, with these points, I can draw a graph. So you can just plot points and draw your line.
So what does the line mean? Say if it goes like that way.
Mm-hmm.
Does
the line, all this line means is if my equation was y equals 3x plus 1. Y equals 3x plus 1. The line is the collection of all the x values, right? Across that have the same, what the y, if we plotted like all of these, all the x and y's, it would be this line here.
So when they ask like, what will it be? Because the quadrants are like negative or positive. So when they ask like, because I remember he asked me a question on the test, something about a negative or something. Matter of fact, no, we plugged in that plot thingy that we did.
Mm-hmm.
On the test, it asked in the quadrant or something like that. Is it negative or positive? So this one would be classified. Does this count?
Well, you wouldn't be with a line because a line is going to cross multiple quadrants. So quadrants are like, this is quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, this is quadrant 4. So what I think what he said is like if this is 1 and this is 5, if I give you a point 1, 5, what quadrant is it in? 1.
Yes, there we go. Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So I have a little story about this to help you remember the quadrants. Okay, so this is positive, positive. This is negative, positive. This is negative, negative. And this is positive, negative. Okay? So my little story goes like this. So, like, you start off, so it's like life. You start off, you're super positive about everything, right? Right? Then something bad happens and you get a little negativity, right? But you're trying to be positive still because you're used to being positive. But there's like life sucks. This when the bad happens, right? Then you get into I call this the emo quadrant because everything's super negative. Because then you like everything, life sucks, everything's stupid. And then as you mature, you realize there's some bad things and there's some good things, but it's better to think about the positive than the negative. So it's like the circle of maturity, right? Right?
Yeah.
So the point, though, is that if I give you something like, let's say I give you -3, -4, what quadrant would that be in? It would be that one. So that would be quadrant
3?
3.
Oh. Okay.
Okay? So this is how you do it. The other way that people think about it is a C in terms of how the quadrants. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
Today on the test, I was at 1, 2, 3, 4. See, this part I get, but this part I don't. So it's in a circle.
Yeah. You always start with positive, positive.
Okay.
And you go, and this positive, because everything's positive here, because that's X and Y are both positive right here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean by positive, positive. And then you go around this way.
Okay.
Cool?
Yes.
Yeah?